All right, now that we have learned all about classes in ES6, let's see how we can implement inheritance. So I'm going to start by declaring a class called shape. In this class, we add a method called move. Simply log this on the console. Now let's define a circle. So class circle. Now to have the circle inherit from the shape class, all we have to do is to add extends shape. So we don't have to reset the prototype. We don't have to reset the constructor. It's far easier and cleaner. Now here in the circle, we can add a draw method, console.log draw. Now let's create a circle object. So constant C, we set this to a new circle and then inspect it in the console. So here's our circle object. Note that in its prototype, we have the draw method, because as I told you before, all the methods we implement here will end up in the prototype for circle. Now this prototype object itself has a prototype. Let's look at that. This is where we have the move method. Note the constructor property here. So this object was created by the shape class, and here this object was created by the circle class. So you can see with the extends keyword, we don't have to reset the constructor. It's far easier. So now our circle object can be moved and drawn. So we can call c.move, beautiful, and c.draw, sweet. Now let's take this to the next level. Let's imagine all our shapes need a color. So I'm going to add a constructor here. Constructor. Here we pass color and set the color property. Okay. Now if I save the changes, we don't get any errors. However, if we add a constructor in the circle class, let's see what happens. So we got an exception. Must call super constructor in derived class before accessing this or returning from derived constructor. So here's what's happening here. If you have a constructor in the parent class, and then you add a constructor in the derived class, inside of this constructor, you should make sure to call this constructor first to initialize this base object. Okay, so here in the constructor, we can use this super keyword to reference the parent object. So to call the constructor, we call this like a function, and here we pass the color argument. Now I'm going to change the constructor for the circle to pass the color. We get that and simply pass it to the super constructor. Save the changes. Now let's inspect C. Okay, our color is undefined because here, when creating a new circle, I forgot to pass the color. So let's say red. Now let's inspect this one more time. So here we have a red circle, beautiful. We can add additional properties here like radius and then set them here. This.radius to radius. Let's inspect C one more time. Once again, I forgot to pass the radius argument. So here on line 23, I'm going to pass 1 as the radius. And finally, we have a circle with these two properties, color and radius. We inherited color from our parent class, the shape class, and we added radius on the circle class itself.